record on this computer. Okay, so we are recording now, and I'm about to send y'all live to Facebook. So have fun, and we'll see you again after.
Okay, bye. So I think we might be live now.
I don't know.
Oh, well, I mean, if we're live now, then people can see us, or me, being awkward on camera, as promised. So I'm going to pretend like we're live now and introduce myself. Hi, everybody. My name is Laura. I'm from the blog Little Red Riding Hood. And tonight we have the always lovely Jennifer Estep. If you want to introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jennifer Estep, and I am the best-selling author of various fantasy series, including Elemental Assassin, Crown of Shards, the Big Time series, and then I just had a new book out last week, A Sense of Danger, and that's an Audible original, so it's out in audiobook right now.
Awesome. So I kind of want to hear a little bit more about A Sense of Danger. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but it is definitely on my list because it kind of ticks all my boxes. So if somebody hasn't heard about it at all, if you want to give them a little bit of a overview and maybe what your favorite part about writing it was.
Okay. So it's kind of a mix between urban fantasy and paranormal romance. We have two first-person points of view. You have Charlotte and Desmond, and they both work for Section 47, which is basically this secret spy agency that they deal with like magical bad guys and criminals and terrorists and things like that. And so Charlotte and Desmond have to team up to figure out who is trying to kill them. So it's basically like Spies with Magic, but you also kind of have enemies to lovers going on. And so there's maybe a little bit more romance in this one than in some of my other books.
I'm really into that enemies to lovers thing lately. I don't know what it is, but seeing that hate go to not hate, go to friendship, go to love, I love it.
It's one of my favorite tropes. Yeah.
I don't know that I'll ever get tired of it, and I'm okay with it. So you said that it's told in both of their points of view. Is that the first time you've done a dual POV?
It's not the first time. I've done it like in some novellas and some shorter stories.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I've done it like in a full-length book. And you know, a lot of times when you have the dual points of view, like people like go back and forth. Well, like one chapter will be from the heroine's point of view and one's from the hero's point of view. But mine is more like we'll have 3 chapters from Charlotte's point of view, and then we'll switch over to Desmond, and it's more like, you know, what scene has the biggest impact on that character at the time. And then it was also a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle trying to figure out, you know, which character knew what and what did I want the reader to know and that sort of a thing.
So was that the hardest part about the dual point of view, figuring out whose point of view this chapter was going to be from?
It was definitely. It was definitely more of a jigsaw puzzle and trying to put it all together than some of my other books where you only have the one point of view and, you know, you only have to think about what that person knows versus what 2 people know. So.
Excellent. And who does the audio narration? You have 2 narrators, right?
I do. They actually did a female and a male narrator. Helen Lacer, I hope I'm saying her last name right, is the voice of Charlotte, and then Rupert Channing is the voice of Desmond. And Desmond has a little bit of an Australian accent in the audiobook, which I think is really fun. And then Helen, you know, sort of has like the Southern drawl that I kind of have because, you know, I kind of hear that with all of my characters.
Well, you probably subconsciously write a little bit of that drawl into them, don't you?
I do. You know, it's a fun accent to kind of play around with, and you can make it like really sweet or like really vicious, so it has a lot of range, the Southern accent.
That's true. I'm from the Midwest, so I have kind of one of those neutral accents, but I have family that lives in like the boonies. So if I start picking up on that Southern accent, I'm not mocking you, I swear. Like, it's just kind of I'm hearing it, so my voice starts doing it sometimes. So I don't want anybody to think I'm making fun of you or making fun of any accent. It's completely involuntary. So kind of sticking with the audiobooks, you've had a lot of success doing audios. Like your audios have done really well. And I know most of the books of yours that I've read, I've done on audio. What do you think it is about your books that do so well on audio? Like if you have any guesses.
I think a lot of it has to do with the narrator. Lauren Fordgang narrates my Elemental Assassin series, and she also does the Crown of Shards series, and she's just a fantastic narrator. Like I know a lot of times when I announce that there's a new Assassin book coming out, it's not like when the ebook or the print book coming out. It's like when is the audio book coming out? Which is kind of flattering, but it's like don't you want the ebook and the print book to see the words? But no, they want to listen to Lauren's voice. But she's really fun to work with too. She always emails me and asks me, if she has any questions or how I want someone to sound. So that's really nice. But yeah, a great narrator makes all the difference. And I just think a lot more people are into audiobooks these days.
Person distinct.
Yeah.
So I don't know how she does it. I would make everybody sound the same. So that's probably why I'm not an audiobook narrator, among other things.
Yeah, sometimes people will ask me, like, why don't you narrate your own audiobooks? And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's like, it's definitely a performance skill, and it's one that I don't have, so I will never do that.
Yeah. Yeah, for half a second I thought about it. I was like, well, that would be fun. And then I really learned what went into it. And I was like, that's not a skill I have. I'm good. So something, switching topics completely on you here. You do a lot of promoting other authors, like on your Facebook page and in your newsletters and things. I mean, do you just randomly pick like what you're into? How do you decide who you like share their book sales, or is there a decision, or if you just see one, you share it?
It's a little bit of a lot of things. Like I know a lot of authors now. I've been published for more than 10 years. So, if I see that somebody I know has an ebook on sale, I'll share it. Or if there's a book that's like getting a lot of buzz that I see a lot of reviews for, I'll share that because people be interested in it. Or say like if Nora Roberts has an ebook on sale, it's like, especially like the in-depth ebooks, is like, I know people are always looking for those.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I like to share a lot of fantasy and romance books because that's what I like and that's what my readers like to read. And then, yeah, some of it is just random too. Like I'll see something that looks interesting and think, oh, I want to read that. And I'll share it online in case somebody else wants to read it too.
I just think that's really neat that you do that so consistently. It's obviously authors are very friendly with each other and share each other's sales, but I think you do it more consistently than just about any other author I follow. Your feed's not just your books, which would be totally fine if it was. I mean, it's your page, like you should talk about your books, but you also talk about other books that you're enjoying and reading or things that are on sale. And I just kind of wanted to, I don't know, give you kudos for that. I think that's really cool.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. And, it's a way for me to like give back to other authors who have helped me. And I figure if folks are looking at my page that they're always looking for more stuff to read. So why not help them out?
True. And I don't necessarily have a specific question about it, but I really enjoy your mailbag posts where people ask you questions and you answer them, usually in long form with lots of details. They always make me giggle.
Yeah, it's interesting, some of the questions that people ask. And then, a lot of them are just like general things that I get asked over and over again too, because I think being an author is like mysterious to a lot of people. They don't know like what goes into it. And so it's kind of a way to just kind of pull the curtain back and let people see what goes on, and it's a lot more boring than most people imagine. And then too, it's like some of the things that I get asked about you never would expect. Like I think probably the most popular Monday morning mailbag I ever will have done recently is when I was talking about the word toboggan in my books versus I want to say toque. That's the Canadian word for a toboggan, but in the South, a toboggan is a winter hat, and I've gotten many comments about that over the years. And yeah, that post got so many comments that, you know, it's always interesting the things that like people focus on and talk to you about.
I think I remember you talking about that on a panel at one point or another too. So I've definitely heard you get that question quite a few times. So I can imagine how many times you've gotten that, or, you know, somebody pointing it out as an error. I think I heard that happen to you a couple times. And
it's happened a lot, probably more than 100 times now. And it's like toboggan is the bane of my existence.
But now you're never going to change it, right?
No, it's like now I want to put toboggan like in all the books, even the epic fantasy books where they would never say it. I should write a kid's book like The Friendly Toboggan or something like that.
Please do that. Please do that. Just for me, right? Whether or not anybody else wants it, I'll buy it for my niece and nephew. So kind of switching gears again. So you had your first epic fantasy trilogy. Like I said, I just finished listening to it recently. What was the most surprising thing about writing epic fantasy versus urban fantasy?
It's so freaking long. Oh my God. No, the Crown of Shards books, they're each about 125,000 words. Whereas like one of my Elemental Assassin books is about 100,000 words. And it just, I knew in my mind that they were longer, but I don't think I accounted for how much more time it would take to do everything, like writing and editing and revising. And like right now I'm working on page proofs for one, and I've spent like a solid week just reading this freaking book again. So that was one of the most surprising things. It's like, oh, I should have thought of that before I started writing epic fantasy.
So is the book you're working on part of this series, or is it a new series?
It's set in the Crown of Shards world, but it's a new series. The first book is called Capture the Crown. It'll be out in July, and the series title is Gargoyle Queen, and it's about Gemma Ripley, the little girl from Protect the Prince, and it's set in the future, so she's all grown up now and having her own adventures. So I'm having a lot of fun with it so far, although I'll be glad when the reading is finished.
That was one of your more recent Monday mailbag things. I think I recall how many times you read the book and how much you sometimes hate reading the book that many times.
I do. I read it pretty much after every draft that I do, and then revisions, copy edits, page proofs, and then sometimes like the proofreader will have more questions after that. So yeah, I probably read it like at least 5 to 7 times, and then with some books I read it like 10 times. So by the time that we were like to the page proofs, it's like I never want to look at it again.
Do you have to go back and reread if you're adding a book in the series, or do you have notes? Like
I don't do a series Bible. I kind of cheat and just use the copy editor notes because it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, if I have a question, I'll definitely go thumb through one of the books and look it up, but I don't go back and reread the whole thing.
I was kind of wondering that after you posted about it. I wonder if she goes back and rereads again.
No.
So you're not one that would go and reread your own books for fun?
No. I mean, no. There are too many like books by other authors that I haven't read a million times that I could read for fun. Instead of my own where I know everything that's going to happen.
All right. it looks like we've got a few questions coming in from the crowd. So I will take a couple of those and then come back to my stuff because, you know, those are the questions I want answered. So it looks like, was there anything different about doing a story to audio first before a print or ebook version? So back to the sense of danger.
It was a little bit different. Like my writing process was the same, but when we were doing like the revisions and the copy edits, there were some notes from my Audible editor about like things that work better in ebook that don't work so well in audiobooks. Like there's a scene in A Sense of Danger where Charlotte is kind of eavesdropping on a couple of characters, and in sort of like the copy edits, they have little tags that says, you know, which character is speaking when, but of course you won't see that in the ebook because you can just go back and see who was speaking if you need a refresher. So just little things like that. And it was kind of interesting to see like the tweaks that they made for the audiobooks versus just what I would normally write for a print book.
Interesting. I never really thought about what the difference would be. And I guess, yeah, writing for something specific for audio would have a little bit of a different process.
And something else that I do it in all of my books now, because the ones that are going to be turned into audiobooks, I try to describe each character's voice just a little bit to just kind of give the narrator a little note like this character's voice is really deep, or this character has an accent, or just kind of whatever it is.
I have kind of noticed that, not just with your books, but with some of the other ones that do really well on audio. They try and describe voices a little bit more, at least more than I remember seeing in print books, but I could just be, I don't really imagine how they sound in my head. They all have the same accent. So maybe I just skip that part. Another one is, what is the last book that has kept you up way past your bedtime?
Oh gosh. I will say one series that I really enjoyed this year was the Consortium Rebellion by Jessie Mahalik. I hope I'm saying her last name right. I'm not usually into sci-fi romance, but the whole series, they all had a lot of action and adventure and romance in them. And I think I read the whole series probably in a couple of months, which for me is fast because one of the bad things about being an author is you don't get to read for fun as much as you would like. So I really enjoyed that series. And I'm like totally blanking on like what else I've read this year. Oh, I started reading A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas this year. Those are really good. I'm working my way through those and really enjoying them.
Those are thick books too.
They are, yeah.
I also did those on audio, if you're curious. The audio is very good.
Okay.
So, speaking of books that you're reading, is there anything you're reading now that you're really enjoying, or?
Well, I'm on my holiday romance binge, as I know many people are. And right now I'm reading Mistletoe and Mr. Right by Sarah Morgan Thaler. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right. And it's really cute. It's set in Alaska, and they're trying to find a moose who's destroying Christmas decorations. So it's really kind of cute and fun. And I have like a ton more holiday romances to read. And then I'm really weird. I'll read like a holiday romance, and I'll go read like a thriller where like everybody dies. So I like to go back and forth.
I mean, I'm sure there's a holiday romance where everybody dies.
Everybody dies.
Holiday themed thriller or something. I mean, at least for Halloween, I know there is. But
yeah.
I warned you ahead of time that I was going to ask you about something that happened in 2020, because it has been a year, and I think we would all like to hear something good about 2020. Have you had a chance to come up with anything?
Well, I will say one good thing about 2020 is Zoom, because before this year, we never did Zoom. I never did Zoom meetings like this, and I've done several now, and I get to talk to people that maybe I like I wouldn't necessarily be able to go to wherever they live or do a signing or whatever, but anybody can watch it on Zoom. So, I think that's one good thing that's happened this year. Other than that,
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's been kind of fun to. Most of my family lives out of state, and so we chat over message or phone calls or send each other memes and stuff. But we never really thought about doing video chat like Zoom. But 2020.
2020. I will say something else that's been really good. Like I've talked on the phone a lot more to like friends and family this year than I have in past years. So, that's been kind of nice too.
It does kind of give you a reason to reach out to anybody that you want to. Just all you have to say is, hey, it's 2020. I wanted to check in.
Yep.
No reason. Freaking 2020. I swear. So another Q&A question from the audience. So this one goes back to reading your own books. So after reading your own book that many times, how do you think you would fare in a quiz about your characters?
For the book that I just finished, I would ace it because it's like burned into my brain. For the later or the earlier books from the series, I think I would do pretty well, but after a while, I will kind of tend to forget like some of the really fine details and plot points. But yeah, I mean, especially since like the Elemental Assassin series, I've written so many books in it, I think I know the characters pretty well by now.
Yeah, I am a few books behind on the Elemental Assassins, but that's definitely another one that I'm gonna probably wait until the last book's out and then just binge all the way through. I love reading a series back to back to back to back to back. I don't know why, even though a lot of the information can be repetitive, it's just something I enjoy. So speaking of Elemental Assassins, I know you said that the book coming out in March, which is Last Strand, is the last for now, at least. Was it hard to figure out how you wanted to end at least this part of the story, or was that a difficult decision to make to say, okay, this is going to be the last book at least for now? What was kind of your thought process there?
Well, I'm slammed with deadlines for other projects. And since I'm self-publishing the Elemental Assassin series now, it just takes me so much longer to write the book and then go through the production process and for the books to come out. So I kind of need more of a work-life balance. So that was one of the decisions that kind of went into it. And, I have so many great secondary characters in the Assassin books. I want to write some novellas and some shorter stories about them. I mean, I get so many requests for stories about, like Sophia or Jojo or Philip Kincaid and all the other characters, but I never have time to write them, trying to write a full-length Jen book every year. So I decided to wrap up the current story arc for now in Last Strand, and then I'm hoping to write some novellas, like I said, about some of the secondary characters. But I do plan to write more Jen books someday, just maybe not for a year or two, but we'll see what happens.
Sometime in the future,
sometime in the future.
She's had a couple years of rest. That girl deserves some time off.
Don't we all?
Well, I mean, I think she deserves it a little bit more than we do. She's had some challenges.
She's been through the ringer, that's for sure.
I love her. She's a delightful character. Sorry.
No,
tangent,
I appreciate
tangent there. And I always feel like I gain about 5 pounds when I read her books.
I do like to write about food.
In all of your books. Yep. Why?
Well, it kind of started with the Assassin series because she owns a barbecue restaurant, and there's so many of the scenes are set in the restaurant. It's like she actually has to cook stuff in the books. And then I thought, if she's going to cook it, well, I want to make it sound as delicious as possible. And then so many people started commenting on it. I thought, well, I'll just put it in the rest of my books. And I have. And now it's kind of one of those things that I didn't really think about when I started writing Spider's Bite, the first Elemental Assassin book. Now it's like kind of one of the things that I'm known for. And it's been really fun, especially in the Crown of Shards series. Since it's epic fantasy, I can play a little bit more with the food and like make up different ingredients and things. So that's been really fun for me.
I mean, I did giggle a little bit when I first put on the audiobook for Kill the Queen and it opens with her making a pie. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Come on.
But that becomes very important later on in the story.
Very important to the story. It is very important to the story. But it was in so much detail that I maybe made a pie that weekend. Not the same kind, but I still made a pie. So we're obviously chatting, for the Coastal Magic Reading Challenge. And we've had you in person a time or two before.
Yep.
But not specifically about coastal magic. What has been what's one of your favorite things about attending conventions? I mean, it can be about coastal magic. We wouldn't complain, but it doesn't have to be.
Well, one of the great things about coastal magic, of course, is the location. The beach is always nice. I'm not even a big beach person, but I like it. And then I like meeting people at cons. Like another good thing about coastal magic is that, it's small enough that you can like stop and have a conversation with somebody and you're not kind of like rushing around all the time like you are at some of the bigger conventions. But yeah, I like meeting readers and talking to people about books, and I hope we get to have conventions again soon one day.
Fingers crossed. I do
Fingers
miss
crossed.
that in-person interaction. I'm really glad that we have this technology that we can do this kind of stuff now, but it's not the same.
It's not the same, but it's better than nothing.
It's definitely better than nothing. But I really like getting out of the house for a few days.
I like going to cons. I don't necessarily like the travel to get there sometimes,
Fair.
So.
I can't really complain about that as far as coastal magic goes because I live about 40 minutes from the beach. So it's just a drive up the interstate for me. So the travel is not so bad. But I'm far enough away that I can justify the hotel.
Yep. You always want to stay at the hotel, the convention hotel. Pro tip.
Yeah, seriously. Jot that down. Take notes. There have been a couple of times where I didn't. And it's not the same. It's not the same. A couple more questions from me, and then I think we have one or two more questions from the audience, and then we'll wait a few more minutes to see if anybody else sends anything in. So in your books, I've noticed a common theme of like found family and strong women. Has that always been like your intention, or was that kind of as you started writing more maybe with Jen, her found family and her saving the day versus being saved by other people?
I will say I didn't really set out to do found family, but it works so well in the Assassin series. And, it's one of my favorite things to read in somebody else's books too. It's just something that I enjoy reading and writing. And as for the strong heroines, I always want to write a strong heroine. I remember growing up, like when Return of the Jedi came out, I always wondered why Leia didn't get a lightsaber and go to fight the Emperor with Luke and, and that sort of a thing. So it was one of those things where like as a kid, you just kind of move on from it, but like as an adult, you start to wonder, it's like, well, I can write a book where the female character has the sword or the magic or the lightsaber or whatever, and she does go and fight the bad guy and save the day. So those are the kind of books that I like to read, and that's what I like to write.
I really appreciate the fact that it's not just the heroine using her brain to outsmart the stronger guys. Like, your characters are sometimes stronger than the guy, which is, I don't know, some people think controversial, but it shouldn't be because sometimes women are just stronger than men.
Well, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Somebody might be really smart, or somebody might be really strong, or whatever. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. And, I think part of that for me as an author is kind of bringing out those strengths and weaknesses and still making the characters really relatable. Like, yeah, Jen is a total like kick butt heroine and she has all this powerful magic, but I think she's also the kind of person, like, if you went over to her house, she'd make you a home cooked meal, and you could chat and that sort of a thing.
Yeah, it definitely adds depth to the characters that, they do sometimes make mistakes, or they do sometimes rely on their strengths when they should rely on their brains, or rely on their brains when they should rely on their strengths. And I don't know. I enjoy it. I always know that I'm going to get not necessarily always the outcome I want with one of your books, but it's definitely going to be the outcome that their actions have brought about, if that makes sense.
It does.
Like, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And actually, it was interesting in A Sense of Danger, after writing so many assassin books where Jen is just like kind of like kill first, ask questions later. Charlotte is like a completely different heroine, and she uses, one of the things in the book is that she uses her big brain to solve problems. And so it was kind of interesting to figure out, to have a character have to outsmart the bad guys rather than Jen, who would just kind of like wade through them like a chainsaw through butter. So
yeah, she definitely made some, maybe not kills that she shouldn't have, because I don't think she necessarily ever killed anybody that she shouldn't have. They all pretty much deserved it, but she probably should have waited a minute and gotten some information from some of those people first.
Definitely.
Oh, poor Jen. Bless her heart.
Bless her heart.
So kind of on that topic, is there any character that you killed off that you regret or would love to bring back?
I will say probably sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't killed Fletcher off, Jen's assassin mentor, and Spider's Bite, the very first book in the series. I kind of wonder what the series would be like if he was still alive. But then I think too that maybe it wouldn't work as well as it has, because that was the source for a lot of her angst and issues. So yeah, he's one that I kind of wonder, like, what would have happened if I didn't kill him off. And then sometimes too, some of the villains that I really like, I kill them off and I think, oh, I wish I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, you find really good ways to bring Fletcher back, though. Like, you make him still a part of the story without him physically being there. And I think that's really important for a lot of people, because obviously, I mean, especially in 2020, a lot of people have been lost.
Yeah.
But they're not gone forever. They're the things they leave behind, the memories, the letters, all of that. Like, he's still with Jen and her crew, even though he's not physically there.
Yeah.
I'm not a writer. I'm not always good at putting the words together. But
no, you're doing a great job.
I fix words. I don't write them. Ugh. So yeah, I think that's actually really cool. When you kill off characters, even though they're gone, they're not forgotten. So, I don't think, we'll wait a few more minutes and see if any other questions come through. Is there anything you want to talk about you've got coming up in the next year? I know we've talked about the Jen book coming out in March. What else is on the horizon for you?
I'm going to have probably a pretty busy 2021. Last Strand comes out on March 16th, and then Capture the Crown comes out on July 6th. And then also, I'm hoping to release the ebooks and the print books for A Sense of Danger maybe in May. We'll see what happens. But for right now, that one is audiobook only. And then I also have a short story. It's called The Beauty of Being a Beast. I actually wrote it for a German language anthology. I'm going to self-publish that in English. It's just kind of a little my version of a Beauty and the Beast story. So I'm not sure exactly when that one will be out, but we shall see. So yeah, it's like been one deadline after another this year.
Sounds like it, especially since, there's a little bit of time between when you first decide to write a story and it being published.
It does. It takes a lot. I mean, I just can't write something today and it comes out tomorrow. I think a lot of people don't understand that it's a whole process. I mean, even if you're self-publishing something, you still have to get the cover art made and have it copy edited and do page proofs and things like that. So it takes a while to do it all.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, even the people that self-publish that do a book a month or a book every 6 weeks, like there's still a lot of work that goes into it.
It is a lot of work.
I don't know how they do that fast either, but they're crazy.
I mean, I don't know either. I mean, I enjoy the self-publishing. I enjoy like being able to decide what the cover art looks like and when the book is released and what price it is and all that sort of things. But it is a whole lot more work than having a publisher do it for you.
So yeah, you're a hybrid author, I guess is the term for it. That's kind of, I don't know. I think being hybrid would be the way to go. You have total control over some of it, and then some of it's kind of on somebody else's plate.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's still on your plate, but
less on my plate.
Yeah, you can rely on other people. Are there any books coming in 2021 or in the last part of 2020 that you're really excited about or looking forward to reading?
Let's see. Of course, you would ask me and I would totally blank about this.
I'm really bad about remembering titles on the spot. Do not feel bad.
I think Sarah J. Maas has a new Court of Thorns and Roses coming out in February, maybe?
That sounds right. And of course, I can't think of the title either.
Is it Court of Silver Flames?
Something like that.
So I'm looking forward to that. I've got my cart on Amazon. I have like 200 books in my Amazon cart. It's like my own version of a wish list. But I'm loving like all the rom-coms that have come out, over the past couple of years. Because I don't like to read like a lot of fantasy books when I'm writing my own books. So I read like a lot of romances and contemporary romance and YA. And of course I'm like totally addicted to the Hallmark and the Netflix and the Lifetime Christmas movies, which if you follow my feed, you probably have guessed that by now. So yeah, I read a lot of romances. So I'm looking forward to just seeing what comes out.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm really bad about looking at releases for the next year. I'm always focused on, okay, what's the next book that's coming out that I really want to make sure I get or listen to or read or, check out from the library. And of course, today's Tuesday, so there were some books that I maybe didn't plan to buy that have fallen into my cart.
So what have you been reading and enjoying lately?
Oh gosh, I actually just finished some nonfiction books, which is weird for me because I am not usually a big nonfiction reader. And because of 2020, I've been reading a little bit of anti-racism books. Actually, I just finished How to Be an Anti-Racist by Dr. Kendi, Ibram X. Kendi. Finished that today on audio, and he reads it. He does the narration for it. It was actually really excellent. I learned a lot. So there's that. And of course, I finished Crush the King about 2 weeks ago. So that's kind of the spectrum of what I've been reading. Two totally different things. I think we're actually running out of time. There's no more questions coming through. So is there anything you want to mention before we sign off, where people can find you online?
I have a website, jenniferestep.com, and if you go there, you can sign up for my email newsletter. I send that out once or twice a month, with just my latest book news and some book recommendations and things like that. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, and then you can follow me on Amazon and BookBub too, and you'll get like email alerts when I have new releases out or my ebooks are on sale, so that's really good to do. But yeah, I'm in all the usual places online, so come and check me out.
And of course, you can find her in the Coastal Magic Facebook groups. There's the Reader Challenge, and then there's just the general group. You're in both of those, I believe, yeah?
I think so.
Maybe?
Probably.
Well, we'll make sure she's in both of those. And then in February, of course, we'll be doing some more Zoom panels. It'll be less one-on-one and more groups, but make sure you come check us out then. Go to Coastal Magic. I think it's coastalmagic.com, or is it coastalmagicconvention.com? Oh gosh, I'm terrible. Really bad at this promo. So one of those websites, or just search Coastal Magic Convention on Facebook and you can get a lot more information there. So with all that being said, I think we're done here. Didn't really have a plan for how to wrap this up. So
I did want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas and all the other holidays, whatever you celebrate. I hope you have a great time this year despite everything that's going on. So
yes, happy holidays to everyone. It is coastalmagicconvention.com is the website. Yeah, happy holidays, happy new year, stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, and we'll see you guys in February.
all right, happy reading, everybody.
Happy reading. Have a good night.
You too.